Imagine being 19 years old, full of dreams, working as a massage therapist by day, hitting the slopes on your snowboard every chance you get, planning to travel the world and live a life of adventure. Then, in the space of just 24 hours, everything changes. Doctors give you less than a 2% chance to live. You wake up and your legs are gone. This isn't a movie. This is the real story of Amy Purdy. Amy Michelle Purdy was born on November 7, 1979, in the bright, buzzing city of Las Vegas, Nevada. Growing up in a family that loved the outdoors, she was surrounded by the energy of adventure. Her parents and siblings were skiers, but when Amy was 15, she discovered snowboarding, and it changed everything. The rush of carving down the mountain, the cold wind on her face, the feeling of freedom, it became her passion. She wasn't just riding for fun, she dreamed big. She wanted to compete, to travel to every snowy peak she could find, to make snowboarding her life. By her late teens, Amy was living that dream in small steps. She worked as a massage therapist to support herself, saved money for trips, and spent every weekend on the slopes. Life felt wide open. She was young, healthy, unstoppable. Then came the day that almost ended it all. It started like any ordinary flu, a little fever, body aches, tiredness. Amy thought she just needed rest. But within hours, things spiraled. Her body went into septic shock, a massive, overwhelming infection from a rare bacterial meningitis, specifically meningococcal meningitis. The infection attacked her circulatory system so violently that her organs began to fail. She was rushed to the hospital. On the way, her heart stopped. Doctors fought to bring her back. She slipped into a coma. Life support kept her breathing. Her family gathered, praying, terrified. The doctors were blunt, less than 2% chance of survival. But Amy fought. Her body battled through multiple blood transfusions. Her ruptured spleen had to be removed. The infection destroyed her kidneys. She would need a transplant. She lost hearing in her left ear. And worst of all, to save her life, both of her legs had to be amputated below the knees. When she finally woke up from the coma after weeks in the hospital, the world looked different. She looked down and saw stumps where her legs used to be. The girl who lived to snowboard could no longer even stand. The pain was physical, emotional, crushing. She spent months in recovery, learning to sit up, to use a wheelchair, to face a future she never imagined. Doctors told her it would take years to adapt, if ever. The world outside kept moving, but Amy felt stuck. Yet something inside her refused to break completely. Lying in that hospital bed, staring at the ceiling, Amy started asking herself one powerful question. If my life were a book and I were the author, how would I want the story to go? That single question became her lifeline. She realized she had two choices: let the tragedy define the rest of her story, or rewrite the next chapter herself. She chose to rewrite. Her family was incredible, especially her dad. Just a week before her 21st birthday, he donated one of his kidneys to her in what became the first laparoscopic kidney transplant ever done in Nevada. That gift gave her a second chance at life. As soon as she was strong enough, her mind went back to one thing: snowboarding. Everyone said it was impossible so soon. Prosthetists warned her to wait, to take it slow. But Amy wasn't listening to impossible. With determination and a lot of creativity, she and her dad started experimenting. They built her first pair of custom snowboard feet using whatever they could find: duct tape, bolts, old snowboard parts. It looked rough, homemade, but it worked. Just 3 months after her kidney transplant, Amy strapped on those makeshift prosthetic legs and got back on a snowboard. Picture it, a young woman with fresh amputations, still healing from major surgery, standing on a mountain slope again. The wind in her face, the board under her feet, the rush returning. She didn't just ride that day. She entered the USASA National Snowboarding Championships soon after and won medals in 3 events. The girl the doctor said might never walk again was competing again. But this was only the beginning. Amy wasn't satisfied with just surviving. She wanted to thrive, to push boundaries, to show the world what was possible. She started speaking publicly about her journey. Her first TEDx talk would come later, but the fire was already lit. She co-founded Adaptive Action Sports with her partner Daniel Gale, an organization dedicated to teaching adaptive sports to people with physical challenges. She wanted others to feel that same rush she felt on the mountain. Her homemade snowboard feet, they eventually ended up on display at the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C., a symbol of grit and innovation. Amy's story was spreading. People saw her not as a victim, but as proof that limits are often just illusions. She kept training, kept competing, kept dreaming bigger. The road ahead would take her to Paralympic podiums, Hollywood dance floors, and best-selling books, and so much more. But right now, in this early chapter, Amy Purdy was just getting started. She had rewritten her story once, and she wasn't done yet. Amy wasn't just writing for herself anymore. She had tasted what was possible, and she wanted the whole world to know it could be possible for anyone. In 2005, together with her partner and future husband, Daniel Gale, Amy co-founded Adaptive Action Sports, AAS. This wasn't just a hobby organization, it was a mission to teach adaptive snowboarding, skateboarding, and other action sports to people with physical disabilities, veterans, kids, anyone who had been told you can't. Amy and Daniel traveled, taught clinics, built ramps, and lobbied hard. Their biggest dream? Get adaptive snowboarding recognized as an official Paralympic sport. At the time, it wasn't even on the radar for the Winter Paralympics. Amy knew if she could prove it belonged, doors would open for thousands. She trained relentlessly. She competed in every adaptive event she could find. She pushed her body and her custom prosthetics to the limit, and slowly the sport gained traction, thanks in huge part to AAS's advocacy and Amy's visibility. Adaptive snowboarding was finally approved for the 2014 Sochi Winter Paralympics, the very first time it would be included. Amy had helped make history before she even stepped on the course. Now came the moment. Sochi, Russia, February 2014. Amy Purdy, the girl doctors once gave a 2% chance to live, lined up for the inaugural snowboard cross event. She was the only competitor, man or woman, with 2 prosthetic legs. The race was intense. Gates, jumps, high-speed turns on icy slopes. Amy attacked it with everything she had. She crossed the finish line and took home the bronze medal, the first ever Paralympic medal in adaptive snowboarding for Team USA. The crowd roared, cameras flashed. Amy stood on the podium, tears freezing on her cheeks, the American flag rising behind her. She later said, "I didn't just win a medal. I proved that impossible is just an opinion." But she wasn't done. Just days after returning from Sochi, Amy got a call that would take her story to millions more homes. She was invited to compete on season 18 of Dancing with the Stars as the show's first double amputee contestant ever. Imagine the leap from snowy mountains to a glittering ballroom, from prosthetic snowboarding bindings to high heels and Latin dance shoes. Her partner, the legendary Derek Huff. Amy had never danced professionally. Her legs were still adjusting to new demands, balance, turns, lifts, but she embraced it. She trained harder than ever, adapting every step. Week after week, she wowed the judges and America with routines full of fire, grace, and raw emotion. One dance stood out, her freestyle to Human by Christina Perry. She removed her prosthetic covers to reveal her real legs. Strong, scarred, beautiful. The performance brought the audience to tears. She and Derek made it all the way to the finals and finished as runners-up. Overnight, Amy became a household name. People who had never watched the Paralympics tuned in to see her story. She inspired millions to rethink what disability really means. That same year, 2014, Amy released her memoir, On My Own 2 Feet, From Losing My Legs to Learning the Dance of Life. It became a New York Times bestseller, translated into 10 languages. In it, she shared not just the pain, but the lessons. How to turn fear into fuel, how to rebuild when life breaks you, how to live on your own terms. Quotes from the book went viral. Your life is a gift. Own it, celebrate it, live it. Amy kept pushing. She returned to competition. At the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Paralympics, she added even more hardware, a silver in snowboard cross and a bronze in banked slalom, 3 Paralympic medals total. She became one of the most decorated U.S. Paralympic snowboarders of her era. She appeared in Super Bowl ads, modeled, acted in films, competed on The Amazing Race with Daniel, and spoke on stages worldwide, from corporate conferences to Oprah's Super Soul sessions, where Oprah named her one of her 100 most influential thought leaders. Her homemade snowboard feet, they now sit proudly in the Smithsonian Institution, a national treasure of American resilience. Amy's life had become a testament. Tragedy doesn't have to be the end of your story. It can be the plot twist that makes the rest epic. She kept inspiring, kept advocating, kept living beyond limits. But even unbreakable spirits face new tests. Years later, after all the victories, a major health scare would challenge her again, reminding her and the world that resilience isn't a one-time event, it's a lifelong practice. And Amy, she was ready to face it head-on. Amy had climbed mountains, literally and figuratively. 3 Paralympic medals, a runner-up finish on Dancing with the Stars, a best-selling book, a thriving organization changing lives. She was living proof that you could rise higher after falling hardest. But life doesn't hand out permanent victories. Even the strongest stories have unexpected plot twists. In early 2019, just a year after her triumphant Pyeongchang Paralympics, Amy felt a sharp pain in her left leg during training. What started as discomfort quickly became a nightmare. Doctors discovered a massive blood clot stretching from her hip down through her leg, caused by a severe injury to her popliteal artery, the main blood vessel behind the knee. The clot was life-threatening. Worse, because of her history, the original meningitis had already damaged her vascular system. Her arteries were fragile. Blood flow was shutting down. She faced an impossible choice: risk her donated kidney from her dad years earlier to save the leg, or sacrifice the leg to protect the kidney and her overall life. Amy chose to fight for both. Over the next 4 years, she endured 10 major surgeries, including 2 additional amputations on her left leg to combat infections, restore circulation, and save what she could. Doctors told her she might lose the leg above the knee. She spent months in hospitals, on crutches, in pain, relearning to walk again. Her body miraculously created new pathways for blood flow, but the journey was brutal. She later called it the hardest chapter of my life. Through the darkness, Amy leaned on the same mindset that saved her at 19. Ask better questions. Rewrite the story. Bounce forward, not just back. She refused to hide the struggle. She shared raw updates, hospital beds, scars, tears, small wins like taking first steps post-surgery. She turned vulnerability into power, reminding followers, resilience isn't pretending everything's okay, it's showing up when it's not. By 2022, after years of fighting, Amy made a bittersweet decision. She announced her retirement from competitive Paralympic snowboarding. In a heartfelt video and statement, she reflected, "Snowboarding saved my life and gave me life, but I've done what I set out to do. It's time to close this chapter with pride. The sport she helped pioneer, adaptive snowboarding, was now thriving without her on the course. She had shaped it, medaled in its first Paralympic appearance, and inspired a generation. Retirement wasn't defeat, it was completion. Amy shifted her energy to what came next: deeper advocacy, speaking, and sharing tools for real resilience. She kept traveling the world, addressing giants like Disney, Microsoft, the World Health Organization, teaching that true strength is in adaptation, not perfection. And then came her biggest creative leap yet. In late 2025 and early 2026, Amy poured her soul into a new book, Bounce Forward: 21 Tools to Live a Life Beyond Limits. This wasn't just another memoir, it was a practical guide, born from her latest battles. She wrote it in an intense 22-day sprint, calling the process very therapeutic and really vulnerable. The book shares mindset shifts, daily practices, and hard-earned truths: how to face fear head-on, how to rebuild confidence after setbacks, how to turn pain into purpose again and again. Pre-orders exploded. Bonuses included curated playlists for healing, workbooks, and an exclusive virtual launch party planned for April 2026. The official release date, April 14, 2026. Amy described it as her most honest work yet, tools she wished she had during her darkest recoveries. In interviews around the book's announcement, she opened up about the recent health scare that inspired it all, a frightening reminder that health can change in an instant, even after years of triumphs. But she wasn't scared anymore. She was empowered. Because I've learned, we don't just bounce back, we bounce forward. Stronger, wiser, freer. Today, in 2026, Amy Purdy stands taller than ever, not on perfect legs, but on unbreakable spirit. She's mentoring, speaking, creating, living fully. Her story isn't over, it's evolving, and every chapter reminds us, the bravest thing isn't avoiding the fall, it's choosing every single day to rise anyway. As 2026 dawned, Amy Purdy found herself in a new season, not on the slopes, but in the quiet power of reflection and sharing. Her second book, Bounce Forward: 21 Tools to Live a Life Beyond Limits, was just weeks from hitting shelves on April 14, 2026. Pre-orders were surging, bonuses poured in for early buyers, exclusive playlists for healing, a companion workbook, and an invite to her virtual launch party where she'd share the raw stories behind the writing, answer live questions, and celebrate with her community. In exclusive interviews with outlets like People, Fox News, and OK Magazine, Amy got real about the book's birth. She described the 22-day writing sprint as very therapeutic and really vulnerable. The hardest part? Revisiting the doctors who once doubted she'd ever walk again. Grieving the version of herself she lost, not just at 19, but again in her recent battles. She admitted, "I had to face the pain of who I used to be and let that go to become who I am now." The book isn't a highlight reel, it's a toolbox, 21 practical, science-backed strategies drawn from her life's hardest chapters. Tools like shifting from giving up to finding your way, building courage before confidence, turning fear into breakthroughs, and embracing the divine downloads she gets on airplanes, ideas that once scribbled on a napkin became the book's backbone. Amy wrote it for anyone who's ever felt stuck. Resilience isn't about staying strong all the time, it's having tools when you're not. Even as the book launch approached, life kept testing her. 7 years had passed since she last snowboarded, even recreationally. The passion that once saved her now felt distant. Her latest prosthetic leg, after hundreds of hours of tweaks and fittings, still wasn't quite right. She could walk, she could move, but the seamless freedom of the mountain was gone. In raw social media posts, she shared the reality. "I've been on the hardest journey of my life, fighting to walk comfortably again after 10 surgeries." Yet she refused to hide. She booked a personal photo shoot to celebrate her scars and strength, proof that courage comes before confidence. But 2026 also brought joy and purpose in unexpected ways. As an ambassador for Delta, the official airline of Team USA, and a creator for the Milano Cortina 2026 Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games, Amy traveled to Italy. No pressure to compete, just pure love for the athletes and the movement she helped shape. She attended events, cheered from the stands, got emotional over pair figure skating, and soaked in the surreal feeling of being part of it all without the weight of performance. She posted about the women athletes carrying the games, the unity the Olympics bring, and how nothing pulls the world together like shared inspiration. In a Fox News interview, she reflected on a defining DWST moment years earlier, a prosthetic limitation that forced her to adapt on live TV. What could have broken her confidence instead restored it, teaching her grace under pressure. That breakthrough echoed in her current life. Circumstances don't define us, our response does. Amy kept speaking at corporate events like Global Payments SKO, on stages worldwide, reminding audiences that bouncing forward means evolving, not erasing the past. She partnered with brands like Hershey's for their It's Your Happy Place campaign during the Games, celebrating happiness as the real gold. She wrote more freely on social media, stripping away filters to connect heart to heart. Through it all, Amy's message remained steady. Your body is magnificent. It can form new pathways, heal in miraculous ways, adapt beyond imagination. But true power lies in the mind and spirit, choosing to rewrite, to tool up, to keep moving forward. She's not done rising, she's just in a different kind of climb, one of wisdom, vulnerability, and quiet victories. And as April 2026 approaches, the world waits for her next chapter to unfold on the page and in real life. March 2026 arrived like a fresh snowfall, crisp, full of possibility, and buzzing with the spirit of the Milano Cortina Winter Games. Amy Purdy was right in the heart of it, not as a competitor this time, but as a voice, a cheerleader, and a living reminder of what the Paralympic movement stands for. As Delta's ambassador for Team USA and a creator for the Games, she flew across oceans multiple times a week, sharing travel tips born from years of athlete life, how to recover mid-flight, manage jet lag, turn delays into rest. In a candid women's health feature, she opened up. A lot of times people think the wear and tear in athletes is the sport. A lot of times it's the travel, the sleeping in hotel rooms, the beds you're not used to, the airport delays. You need to get to a place where you can relax and recover. But airplanes gave her more than tips. They gave her inspiration. She described divine downloads, moments of clarity at 30,000 feet, looking out the window, ideas flowing so fast she'd grab a napkin to scribble them down. One of those napkin moments became the entire framework for Bounce Forward, 21 tools straight from life's hardest lessons. The media spotlight intensified as the book's April 14 release drew closer. Fox News sat her down for a powerful interview, revisiting the 2% survival odds at 19, the septic shock that stole her legs, the fight to live. She spoke with quiet strength. I was fighting for my life, but even then, the question wasn't, will I walk again? It was, will I snowboard again? That passion pulled me through the dark days. People magazine gave an exclusive first look at the cover and shared her raw truth. This book isn't about bouncing back to who she knew, stronger version of yourself. She grieved the old self, faced the pain of change, and built tools to navigate it, practicing courage before confidence arrives, turning fear into fuel, embracing science-backed mindset shifts. In podcasts like What Does It Take and Rising Phoenix episodes, she got even more vulnerable. 7 years without strapping on a snowboard, not even recreationally. The prosthetic tweaks after 10 surgeries still aren't perfect. She's strengthening her left leg daily, fighting for comfort in every step. Yet, she booked a personal photo shoot to celebrate her body as it is. Scars, strength, all of it. "Courage comes before confidence," she posted. "Practice it and watch what happens." Amid the Milano Cortina action, Amy soaked it in. She cheered from the stands, got emotional over pair figure skating and the unity the games create. Nothing pulls the world together better than the Olympic and Paralympic Games, she shared in heartfelt videos. She highlighted the women athletes carrying the torch, the energy of friendship and motivation, the reminder that identity, passion, and purpose start with one spark, like her first snowboard ride at 15. In a TikTok and Instagram wave, clips of her journey resurfaced. The question that mattered most back then, "Will I snowboard again?" echoing now as she watches the next generation compete in the sport she helped pioneer. Adaptive snowboarding, once a dream she fought to include, now thrives on global stages. She wasn't racing, but she was everywhere, inspiring, connecting, reminding everyone that setbacks don't define the finish line, resilience does. As spring approached and the book launch loomed, Amy kept showing up authentically. No filters on the hard days, full heart on the hopeful ones. She was living her own tools, rewriting the story daily, bouncing forward one step, one flight, one interview at a time. The Paralympic flame burned bright in Italy, and Amy Purdy's light burned right alongside it. Proof that true conquest isn't about medals alone, it's about rising again and again and lifting others as you go. The Milano Cortina Winter Paralympics were in full swing in March 2026, and Amy Purdy was living every moment as both witness and warrior. She wasn't on the start line, hadn't been for years, but her presence was felt everywhere. In athlete villages, from the stands, in video messages and social posts, she cheered the next wave of adaptive snowboarders racing down courses she helped open to the world. On Facebook and Instagram, fans flooded her with questions. "Why aren't you competing this time?" Amy answered with heart and honesty in a powerful video. "I retired a few years ago after a major injury, so major I just wrote a book about it called Bounce Forward. But in all honesty, I did what I set out to do, and nothing feels better than that." She shared her official retirement clip from years earlier, wishing the current athletes luck. "So proud of our sport, we will be cheering you on." Watching the races brought back floods of memories, triumphs on the podium in Sochi and Pyeongchang, the grind of training, the crashes, the unbreakable bond with her teammates. But it also stirred the ache of absence. 7 full years had passed since she last strapped on a board, even for fun. The passion that once pulled her from death's door now lived in memory and mentorship. In a raw Instagram post amid the games, she wrote, "You're allowed to give up, just not today." She explained how watching the Paralympics reminded her of her own incredible highs and brutal lows as an athlete. So if today feels like a day you want to quit, remember, that's okay, just not today. She pointed followers to her upcoming book for more mindset shifts and tools to keep going. In a Fox News interview that went viral during the games, Amy revisited the nightmare that started it all. At 19, bacterial meningitis hit like lightning, septic shock in under 24 hours, life support, 2% chance to survive. She lost her legs below the knees, her spleen, kidney function, hearing in one ear. Doctors fought to save her. She fought to live. "I was fighting for my life," she said calmly. But even then, the question wasn't just, "Will I live?" It was, "Will I snowboard again?" That fire kept me going through the darkest days. The interview tied straight to her new book, Bounce Forward, 21 Tools to Live a Life Beyond Limits, set to drop April 14, 2026. Pre-orders were pouring in, fueled by exclusive bonuses, a healing playlist that carried her through recovery, a guided workbook to start your own journey, and an invite to her virtual launch party for live Q&A and stories behind the pages. Amy described the book as her most intimate yet, part memoir of the recent health crisis, part practical guide with science-backed tools. Shift from giving up to finding your way. Ride the wave of grief without drowning. Practice courage first. Confidence follows. Embrace vulnerability as strength. Be your own advocate. She shared how the book was born from pain she didn't see coming after years of triumphs. After 10 surgeries to repair vascular damage and infections, she spent years fighting just to walk comfortably again. The left leg, strengthened daily, tweaked prosthetics, endless adjustments, still challenged her, but she refused to hide. "I decided to book a photo shoot for myself," she posted on Facebook, sharing powerful images of her scarred, strong body. Courage comes before confidence. What have you found the courage to do recently? The Paralympic flame in Italy amplified her message. She posted about the unity the Games create, athletes from every corner of the world bound by resilience. She highlighted women carrying the torch, the joy of friendship forged in competition, the reminder that one spark, like her first snowboard ride, can ignite a lifetime. Even from afar, she felt connected to the sport she trailblazed, adaptive snowboarding now a staple, athletes pushing limits she once dreamed possible. Through interviews, social media, and quiet moments between flights, Amy kept showing up fully. No glossing over the hard parts, the grief of lost passion, the daily legwork, the emotional weight of retirement, but always the forward bounce. Tools to lean on, choices to rewrite, proof that identity isn't tied to one dream. It's rebuilt day by day in new ways. As the Games neared their close and April approached, anticipation built. The book launch party loomed, stories shared, questions answered, a community celebrating not just survival, but thriving beyond limits. Amy Purdy wasn't racing down mountains anymore. She was lighting paths for others, proving the bravest conquests happen in the mind, the heart, and the quiet choices to keep moving forward. As the Milano Cortina Winter Paralympics reached their final days in mid-March 2026, the closing ceremony on March 15th marked the end of another historic Games. But for Amy Purdy, it felt like the start of something deeper. She had been everywhere in spirit, cheering adaptive snowboarders from afar, sharing memories on social media, and appearing in interviews that tied her past triumphs to the present movement she helped build. In a special Marketplace segment aired during the Games' peak, Amy spoke openly about what it truly takes to be a Paralympian in the winter arena. She described the unique challenges, travel wear and tear, unpredictable prosthetics, the mental grind of recovery between runs, and how the sport demands not just physical skill, but unbreakable adaptability. As a 3-time medalist who lobbied to make adaptive snowboarding official, she reflected, "The Games remind us that limits are often just starting points. Watching these athletes push through reminds me why I fought so hard in the beginning." The Games' energy amplified her ongoing promo for Bounce Forward, 21 Tools to Live a Life Beyond Limits, releasing April 14th, 2026. Pre-orders kept climbing, with bonuses drawing people in, a curated healing playlist that soundtracked her toughest recoveries, a companion workbook for applying the tools daily, and an exclusive virtual launch party invite for live stories and Q&A. Amy posted excitedly on Facebook, "Last year, I sat down and wrote for 22 days straight. I poured my heart onto paper. Pre-order today and get those extras." A powerful Yahoo/AOL feature dropped around the same time, diving into the health scare she didn't see coming. After years of seeming unstoppable, the 2019 blood clot and vascular crisis led to 10 surgeries over years, forcing her to start over from the ground up. She faced grief, uncertainty, fear of losing more, yet she jotted down practices that pulled her through, riding waves of emotion without letting them sink her, embracing vulnerability as power, being her own fiercest advocate. Those became the 21 lessons in the book. I don't want to die with the wisdom I've learned through my challenges inside of me, she told the reporter. The piece ended on her current work, daily left leg strengthening after complex tibia repairs, refusing to quit on comfort or movement. Fox News revisited her origin story in a viral clip, the 19-year-old given less than 2% chance to live after bacterial meningitis hit in hours. Septic shock, coma, amputations, organ failure, she fought back, asking not, "Will I walk?" but "Will I snowboard again?" That single question became her anchor, and she shared how it still guides her now. On Instagram, she posted one of her most shared reels. "Best piece of advice I've ever received. Watching the Paralympics brings back incredible moments, and really hard ones. On a day I felt ready to quit, my coach said, 'You're allowed to give up, just not today.'" She tied it to the current athletes. So if today feels like quit day, remember, that's okay, just not today. Another reel shared how I survived my most challenging days and how you can too, teasing the book's tools. She kept it real about the distance from her passion, 7 years without snowboarding, the prosthetic struggles, the emotional layers of retirement, but she celebrated progress too, booking that personal photo shoot to honor her body as it is now. Scars visible, strength undeniable. "Courage comes before confidence," she captioned, inviting followers to share their own brave steps. Women's Health featured her travel wisdom from constant flights as ambassador, recovery hacks, jet lag management, turning long hauls into rest zones. "Travel wear and tear is often the hidden grind," she said, drawing from athlete life to everyday advice. With the closing ceremony wrapping the games, Amy reflected on the bigger picture, the unity, the friendship, the motivation she felt watching from afar. It all circled back to that first spark at 15 on a snowboard. Identity isn't frozen in one chapter. It's rebuilt through choices, showing up on hard days, sharing wisdom freely, lifting others as you rise. The Paralympic flame dimmed in Italy, but Amy's light burned brighter, carrying tools, stories, and proof that bouncing forward isn't a one-time event. It's a daily practice, fueled by passion, vulnerability, and the simple decision, not today. The Milano Cortina Winter Paralympics officially closed on March 15, 2026, with a spectacular ceremony full of lights, unity, and athlete tributes. Amy Purdy watched from afar, heart full from the journey she helped pioneer. No more races for her, but the flame she lit, adaptive snowboarding as a core Paralympic event, burned brighter than ever in the athletes' final runs and medal ceremonies. She posted heartfelt thanks to the community, reflecting on how the Games reignited memories of her own podium moments while reminding her of the unseen grind behind every triumph. Just days before the close, Marketplace aired a timely interview with Amy on what it takes to be a Paralympian during the Winter Games peak. She broke down the unique realities, the constant travel wear, flights, jet lag, hotel beds, prosthetic adjustments in freezing conditions, the mental marathon of pushing through pain and doubt. It's not just the sport, it's the recovery between, she explained. As a 3-time medalist who advocated for the sport's inclusion, she spoke with pride about watching the current generation thrive in a space she fought to create. Around the same time, the Rising Phoenix Global podcast dropped episode 9 of What Does It Take?, a deep dive with Amy. She revisited the pivotal question from 1999, not will I walk again, but will I snowboard again? That passion gave me a future to focus on, she shared. It pulled me through the dark days when everything else felt impossible. The episode explored identity, friendship, energy, motivation, and passion, all sparked by her first snowboard ride at 15, and how those elements still guide her now, even 7 years removed from the slopes. On Facebook, she shared a fun, practical side. Did you know this? I've been at this for 25 years, and there's so many tricks. Let me know if you want me to share more. In a quick video, she demoed prosthetic leg hacks, small tweaks for comfort, stability, daily life, proving adaptation never stops. Another post reflected on health scares, her own and others. After my own experience and also seeing posts, news stories, and chatting with friends, I was inspired to share this. She tied it to broader wisdom. Vulnerability builds connection, and sharing tools helps everyone bounce forward. A Yahoo/AOL feature published mid-March went deeper into the health scare she didn't see coming. After the 2019 blood clot crisis, 5 surgeries repaired her complex tibia issues, followed by a 10-month recovery managing facial tension, headaches, and rebuilding strength. Now, in 2026, she focuses daily on left leg strengthening, exercises, fittings, persistence to regain comfort and mobility. I don't want to die with the wisdom I've learned through my challenges inside of me, she told the interviewer. That's why Bounce Forward exists. 21 tools, giving up to finding your way, courage before confidence, riding grief waves, self-advocacy, all drawn from science and her life to help others navigate change without returning to who they were, but evolving into something stronger. Fox News Digital's on-camera piece, aired March 7th, circled back to the origin: bacterial meningitis in 24 hours, life support, 2% survival odds, amputations below the knees. She recounted waking up changed, yet asking the question that defined her comeback. The interview linked it straight to the book. Pre-order bonuses still live, healing playlist, workbook, April 14th virtual launch party with live Q&A and behind-the-scenes stories. Post-games, Amy kept momentum rolling. She shared how watching the Paralympics stirred pride and ache. Pride in the sport's growth, ache for the passion on pause, but emphasized daily choice. You're allowed to give up, just not today. Her coach's words from years ago became her mantra for now. As spring edged closer and the April 14th release of Bounce Forward loomed, Amy embodied her own lessons. Daily legwork, authentic sharing, ambassador duties, podcast reflections, all proof that conquest isn't a finish line. It's the ongoing practice of rising, adapting, and listing others along the way. The games may have ended, but her story and the tools she's giving the world keeps moving forward. The Milano Cortina Winter Paralympics closed on March 15, 2026, with a dazzling ceremony of lights, music, and global unity. Amy Purdy felt it all: the pride in the athletes, the ache of distance from the sport she trailblazed, the reminder that her work lives on in every adaptive run down the mountain. In a heartfelt Facebook video right after the closing, she shared, "Are you feeling the feels right now too? Nothing pulls the world together better than the Olympic and Paralympic Games." She showed her temporary makeshift office setup, Paralympic medals, Team USA gear, Southern Nevada Sports Hall of Fame plaque as daily reminders. "I've yet to move in because we didn't know how long we'd be here," she laughed. "But this has always been such a special reminder for me each day." The game's end didn't slow her momentum. In the days following, she doubled down on sharing practical wisdom from 25 years of living with prosthetics. On Facebook, she posted a quick video. "Did you know this? I've been at this for 25 years, and there's so many tricks. Let me know if you want me to share more." She demonstrated simple hacks, adjustments for better socket fit, stability tweaks, everyday comfort fixes that make a huge difference. Viewers flooded the comments asking for more, turning her feed into a mini masterclass on adaptation. She tied it back to her current journey, still building a new prosthetic leg after years of refinements. When I competed in the Paralympics and did Dancing with the Stars, that was 20 years ago, she reflected in interviews. Now it's about figuring out comfort and mobility all over again. The Yahoo/AOL feature, mid-March, painted a vivid picture of the health scare she didn't see coming. The 2019 blood clot crisis escalated into complex tibia issues, requiring 5 surgeries, then a grueling 10-month recovery, managing facial tension, headaches, and rebuilding from the ground up. She described the fear, the uncertainty, the grief of another setback after so many wins. Yet, she started jotting notes, the practices that helped her ride grief waves, embrace vulnerability, and advocate fiercely for herself. Those became the 21 tools in Bounce Forward. "I don't want to die with the wisdom I've learned through my challenges inside of me," she said. The piece highlighted her daily focus, strengthening the left leg, tweaking the new prosthetic in progress, refusing to settle for discomfort. Marketplace's March 12th interview lingered in post-games conversations, where she detailed the unique challenges Paralympians face beyond the sport itself: travel grind, prosthetic unpredictability in cold, and mental resilience through endless adaptation. As a 3-time medalist and advocate, she spoke with gratitude. The Games remind us limits are often starting points. The Rising Phoenix podcast, episode 9, kept circulating, with clips going viral. Her 3 goals on the way to surgery at 19, the core question, "Will I snowboard again?" that shaped her path. The spark of identity, friendship, energy, passion from that first snowboard ride. She reflected on how those elements still fuel her, even 7 years off the slopes. Pre-orders for Bounce Forward, 21 Tools to Live a Life Beyond Limits, April 14th release, surged with the Games spotlight. Bonuses remained a big draw: healing playlist, workbook, virtual launch party invite, where she'd share writing process stories, inspiration behind the tools, live motivation, and Q&A. Amy described the 22-day writing sprint as very therapeutic and really vulnerable, revisiting old doubts, grieving lost versions of herself, building new pathways forward. As March wound down and spring edged in, Amy kept showing up authentically. Daily legwork, prosthetic experiments, raw posts about courage preceding confidence, that self-photo shoot still inspiring comments. The Paralympic unity she felt during the Games translated to everyday life: connection, shared stories, lifting others. She wasn't racing anymore, but she was running a different race, one of wisdom sharing, tool giving, and proving resilience is a lifelong, evolving practice. The flame in Italy may have dimmed, but Amy Purdy's fire burned steady, illuminating paths for anyone facing their own plot twists. Daily choices, small hacks, big questions, unbreakable spirit. Not today, and tomorrow, forward, always forward. With the Milano Cortina Winter Paralympics officially wrapped on March 15, 2026, Amy Purdy let the moment sink in. The closing ceremony's lights and athlete parades felt surreal, a celebration of the movement she helped shape, without the pressure of competition. In a heartfelt Facebook post, she captured the joy. "We made it. This whole trip has been so surreal, being in Milan this week with Team USA as a creator. It's so fun to come to the Games, something so dear to my heart and journey, with zero pressure, just love for the athletes and movement." She shared emotional highlights: pair figure skating bringing tears, the electric energy of rivalry and unity. By the way, pair figure skating was amazing tonight. Did you watch? It made me emotional. Back home, she set up a temporary office with powerful reminders: Paralympic medals, Team USA gear, her Southern Nevada Sports Hall of Fame plaque. "I've yet to move in because we didn't know how long we'd be here," she laughed in a video. "But this has always been such a special reminder for me each day. Those visuals, symbols of past triumphs, grounded her in the present grind. In the days after the closing, Amy kept pouring practical wisdom into her community. Her Facebook video on prosthetic hacks exploded. Did you know this? I've been at this for 25 years, and there's so many tricks. Let me know if you want me to share more. She demoed real fixes, socket adjustments, stability tweaks, comfort solutions for daily life and activity. Fans responded eagerly, turning comments into requests for deeper shares. It tied directly to her current reality, still building a new prosthetic leg after years of refinements. When I competed in the Paralympics and did Dancing with the Stars, that was 20 years ago. Now it's about figuring out comfort and mobility all over again. Hundreds of hours this year alone between speeches and life, tweaking, testing, strengthening the left leg daily. The Yahoo AOL feature captured it vividly. 5 surgeries for complex tibia repairs, a 10-month recovery managing facial tension and headaches, yet persistent focus on rebuilding from the ground up. The post-games glow amplified her message. She recirculated earlier Fox News clips, one on turning fear into breakthrough during DWTS, a prosthetic limitation on live TV that restored her confidence and grace. Another revisiting the 2% survival odds at 19, bacterial meningitis in hours, life support, fighting back with the question, will I snowboard again? Those moments echoed now, 7 years off the slopes. Passion evolves, but the fire to adapt doesn't fade. Pre-orders for Bounce Forward, 21 Tools to Live a Life Beyond Limits, April 14th release, kept climbing. The bonuses? Her curated healing playlist, 1 track per chapter vibe, companion workbook for daily application, invite to the virtual launch party, sharing writing inspiration, process stories, motivation, big thank yous, and live Q&A drew people in. Amy described the 22-day sprint as intensely vulnerable, revisiting doubts, grieving old selves, channeling pain into tools. Resilience isn't about staying strong all the time. It's having tools when you're not. The book isn't a return to before. It's bouncing forward into a wiser, freer life, giving up to finding your way, courage before confidence, self-advocacy, riding grief waves. She stayed authentic in every share. The photo shoot honoring her body post-surgeries. Courage comes before confidence. What have you found the courage to do recently? The Not Today mantra from her coach, and the raw journey of prosthetic comfort after 10 surgeries. As March faded into spring, Amy embodied her own lessons: daily leg work, hack sharing, wisdom pouring, connection building. The Paralympic unity she felt in Italy translated home. One spark ignites a lifetime. Setbacks rewrite stories. Tools turn pain into purpose. The games may have ended, but Amy Purdy's chapter keeps unfolding, proving true conquest is daily adaptation, shared openly, lived fully, not just surviving, thriving forward. The Milano Cortina Winter Paralympics closed on March 15, 2026, leaving a wave of emotion in its wake. Amy Purdy soaked it in from her temporary home base, posting a raw feels update on Facebook. We made it, and this whole trip has been so surreal. From being on Team Delta, to seeing myself on the in-flight videos, to being in Milan this week with Team USA as a creator. It's so fun to come to the games, something so dear to my heart and journey with zero pressure, just love for the athletes and movement. She highlighted the magic, pair figure skating bringing tears, the electric mix of rivalry and unity, the reminder that the Paralympic spirit pulls the world together like nothing else. Her makeshift office, Paralympic medals hanging, Team USA gear stacked, Southern Nevada Sports Hall of Fame plaque on the wall served as daily fuel. I've yet to move in because we didn't know how long we'd be here, she shared with a laugh. But this has always been such a special reminder for me each day. In the quiet after the flame dimmed, Amy kept the momentum alive through practical, heartfelt sharing. Her recent Facebook video on prosthetic hacks continued to gain traction. Did you know this? I've been at this for 25 years and there's so many tricks. Let me know if you want me to share more. She demoed real-world fixes, socket tweaks for better fit, stability adjustments, comfort solutions that turn everyday challenges into manageable wins. Comments flooded in, fans asking for deeper dives, sharing their own stories, turning the post into an interactive community masterclass. It all connected to her current reality, still in the thick of building a new prosthetic leg. After years of refinements, hundreds of hours this year alone between speeches and life, the focus is pure comfort and mobility. When I competed in the Paralympics and did Dancing with the Stars, that was 20 years ago. Now it's about figuring out comfort and mobility all over again. The Yahoo/AOL feature mid-March laid bare the health scare she didn't see coming. The 2019 blood clot and vascular damage escalated into complex tibia issues, 5 surgeries to repair, then a brutal 10-month recovery, managing facial tension, headaches, and rebuilding strength from zero. She described the fear of permanent limitations, the grief of another setback after hard-won triumphs, the slow miracle of healing pathways forming. Yet she started capturing the practices that pulled her through, riding emotional waves without drowning, embracing vulnerability as power, advocating relentlessly for herself. Those notes evolved into the 21 tools of Bounce Forward, not about returning to before, but bouncing forward into a wiser, freer version of life. I don't want to die with the wisdom I've learned through my challenges inside of me, she told the reporter. Marketplace's March 12th interview kept resonating post-games, detailing the unique challenges Paralympians face: travel grind, prosthetic unpredictability in extreme conditions, mental resilience through constant adaptation. Rising Phoenix Podcast Episode 9 clips recirculated widely. The question that mattered most: will I snowboard again? The spark of identity, friendship, energy, motivation, passion from her first ride at 15, how those elements still guide her 7 years off the slopes. Pre-orders for Bounce Forward, 21 Tools to Live a Life Beyond Limits, April 14th release, surged with the Paralympic spotlight. Bonuses pulled people in. Her curated healing playlist, one-track vibe per chapter, soundtracking tough recoveries, companion workbook for daily tool application, exclusive virtual launch party invite where she'd share the inspiration behind the book, raw writing process stories, motivation, big thank yous, and live Q&A. Amy called the 22-day writing sprint very therapeutic and really vulnerable, revisiting old doubts, grieving lost selves, channeling pain into practical, science-backed shifts, giving up, finding your way, courage before confidence, self-advocacy, thriving beyond limits. She stayed grounded in authenticity, recirculating Fox News clips on DWTS breakthroughs, prosthetic limitations turning into grace and femininity on live TV, the 2% survival fight at 19, the photo shoot celebrating her body post-surgeries. Courage comes before confidence. What have you found the courage to do recently? The Not Today mantra echoing daily. As March edged towards April and spring unfolded, Amy embodied her message. Daily left leg strengthening, hack sharing, wisdom pouring, community connecting. The games may have ended, but the lessons lingered. One spark ignites a lifetime. Setbacks rewrite chapters. Tools transform pain into purpose. Amy Purdy wasn't just surviving anymore. She was thriving forward, proving resilience is a daily, shared, evolving practice. The world watched, pre-ordered, and prepared for the next wave of inspiration.
The Milano Cortina Winter Paralympics officially closed on March 15, 2026, and Amy Purdy let the full wave of emotion wash over her. In a heartfelt Facebook post titled, "We Made It," she captured the surreal magic of the entire trip. We made it, and this whole trip has been so surreal. From being on Team Delta, to seeing myself on the in-flight videos, to being in Milan this week with Team USA as a creator. It's so fun to come to the games, something so dear to my heart and journey, with zero pressure, just love for the athletes in movement. By the way, pair figure skating was amazing tonight. Did you watch? It made me emotional. She shared how she got to chat with the women's US hockey team right after their gold medal win, one of the most exciting sporting events she witnessed up close. No competition stress this time, just pure joy, connection, and pride in a movement she helped pioneer. The trip felt like a full-circle moment, from the girl given 2% odds at 19 to the creator cheering from the stands, living proof that passion evolves but never truly fades. Back in her temporary space, the makeshift office became her anchor, Paralympic medals hanging proudly, Team USA gear stacked neatly, her Southern Nevada Sports Hall of Fame plaque on the wall as a daily reminder. "I've yet to move in because we didn't know how long we'd be here," she laughed in a follow-up video. "But this has always been such a special reminder for me each day." Those tangible pieces of her journey grounded her amid the post-games quiet, turning reflection into renewed purpose. In the days following the closing ceremony, Amy kept the inspiration flowing with raw, practical sharing. Her Facebook video on prosthetic hacks kept gaining traction and hearts. "Did you know this? I've been at this for 25 years and there's so many tricks. Let me know if you want me to share more." She demoed real, everyday fixes, socket adjustments for perfect fit, stability tweaks for uneven ground, comfort solutions that turn small frustrations into manageable wins. The comments exploded with stories from others facing their own challenges, fans asking for deeper dives, sharing their adaptations, turning one post into a living community classroom. It all tied straight back to her current chapter, still deep in the process of building a brand new prosthetic leg. After hundreds of hours this year alone, squeezed between speeches, travel, and life, the focus is laser sharp on comfort and true mobility. When I competed in the Paralympics and Dancing with the Stars, that was 20 years ago. Now it's about figuring out comfort and mobility all over again. The Yahoo AOL feature from mid-March kept resonating, painting the full picture of the health scare she never saw coming. The 2019 blood clot crisis snowballed into complex tibia repairs, 5 surgeries followed by a grueling 10-month recovery, filled with facial tension, headaches, and rebuilding strength literally from the ground up. She described the fear of losing more ground, the grief of another major setback after years of hard-won victories, and the quiet miracles of new healing pathways forming in her body. Yet in those darkest stretches, she began capturing the exact practices that carried her, learning to ride waves of emotion without being pulled under, turning vulnerability into real power, becoming her own fiercest advocate. Those raw notes became the heart of Bounce Forward, 21 Tools to Live a Life Beyond Limits. Not a book about snapping back to who she was before, but about bouncing forward into a wiser, freer, more empowered version of life. Marketplace's recent interview and Rising Python Episode 9 clips continued circulating widely, reminding everyone of the core question that changed everything back in 1999. Not, will I walk again, but will I snowboard again? That single focus created her pathway, from near death to 3 Paralympic medals, Dancing with the Stars runner-up, and now this new chapter of tool sharing. Fox News pieces recirculated too, the DWTS breakthrough where prosthetic limitations on live TV actually restored her sense of femininity and grace, and the raw recounting of fighting for life with 2% survival odds after bacterial meningitis struck in under 24 hours. Pre-orders for the book, official release April 14, 2026, kept climbing with every post-games share. The exclusive bonuses were a huge draw. her personally curated healing playlist, one-track vibe per chapter, the exact music that got her through the darkest recoveries, a guided workbook so readers could start their own transformation the moment the book arrives, and an invite to the virtual launch party in April, where Amy would share the inspiration behind every page, raw stories from the intense 22-day writing sprint, big thank yous, motivation, and a live Q&A with the community. She called the writing process very therapeutic and really vulnerable, admitting it meant revisiting old doubts, grieving lost versions of herself, and channeling every hard lesson into practical, science-backed shifts, like moving from giving up to finding your way, practicing courage before confidence shows up, and embracing self-advocacy as a daily superpower. Through it all, Amy stayed beautifully real, recirculating her photo shoot celebrating her body exactly as it is now. Courage comes before confidence. What have you found the courage to do recently? Leaning on her coach's timeless mantra, "You're allowed to give up, just not today," and pouring wisdom freely. As late March gave way to the first hints of spring, she embodied every tool she teaches: daily left leg strengthening sessions, prosthetic experiments, story sharing that builds connection, and a heart wide open to whatever comes next. The Paralympic flame in Italy had dimmed, but Amy Purdy's light shined brighter than ever, proving that true conquest isn't measured in medals or podiums alone. It's measured in the quiet, daily choices to adapt, to share, to rise, and to help others do the same. The world was watching, pre-ordering, commenting, and getting ready for the next powerful chapter. And Amy, she was already living it, bouncing forward one honest step at a time.
The Milano Cortina Winter Paralympics closed on March 15, 2026, but the feelings lingered long after the final fireworks. Amy Purdy sat in her temporary space and poured it all out in that now viral Facebook post. "We made it, and this whole trip has been so surreal. From being on Team Delta to seeing myself on the in-flight videos, to being in Milan this week with Team USA as a creator. It's so fun to come to the games, something so dear to my heart and journey, with zero pressure, just love for the athletes and movement. By the way, pair figure skating was amazing tonight. Did you watch? It made me emotional." She described chatting with the women's U.S. hockey team right after their gold medal victory, one of the most electric moments she witnessed up close. No stopwatch, no starting gate, no pressure to perform, just pure love for the movement she had helped create years earlier. The trip felt like a beautiful exhale after decades of pushing her body and spirit to the edge. Back home, the makeshift office became her quiet sanctuary. Paralympic medals hung on the wall like old friends, Team USA gear was stacked in neat piles, and her Southern Nevada Sports Hall of Fame plaque sat front and center. "I've yet to move in because we didn't know how long we'd be here," she laughed in a short video update, "but this has always been such a special reminder for me each day." Every morning she walked past those reminders, feeling the full circle. The girl who once lay in a hospital bed with less than a 2% chance of survival was now surrounded by symbols of everything she had built. In the peaceful days after the closing ceremony, Amy kept the energy alive with the kind of practical, generous sharing that has defined her for 25 years. Her prosthetic hack video kept blowing up. "Did you know this? I've been at this for 25 years and there's so many tricks. Let me know if you want me to share more." She showed simple, real-life solutions, how to adjust sockets for perfect fit on uneven ground, quick stability tweaks for everyday movement, comfort tricks that turn frustration into freedom. The comments poured in by the thousands, people sharing their own stories, asking for part 2, tagging friends who needed the exact same encouragement. It wasn't just content, it was connection. And it all fed straight into her current chapter, the slow, determined work of building an entirely new prosthetic leg. Hundreds of hours this year alone, squeezed between flights, speeches, and life. "When I competed in the Paralympics and did Dancing with the Stars, that was 20 years ago," she said openly. "Now it's about figuring out comfort and mobility all over again."
The Yahoo/AOL feature from mid-March kept making the rounds, reminding everyone of the health storm she never saw coming. The 2019 blood clot had spiraled into 5 complex tibia surgeries and a brutal 10-month recovery. Facial tension, headaches, rebuilding strength literally from zero. She spoke honestly about the fear of losing even more, the grief that hit harder than expected after so many victories, and the quiet miracles that slowly appeared. In those long months, she started writing notes on napkins and in journals, the exact practices that helped her ride the waves of emotion, turn vulnerability into strength, and become her own loudest advocate. Those notes became the 21 tools in Bounce Forward, 21 tools to live a life beyond limits. Marketplace's March interview and Rising Phoenix episode 9 clips were still everywhere. People heard again how the single question, "Will I snowboard again?" pulled her from a coma and a 2% survival chance, all the way to 3 Paralympic medals and a Dancing with the Stars finale. Fox News pieces recirculated too. The DWTS moment when a prosthetic limitation on live television actually restored her sense of grace and femininity, and the raw recounting of fighting for life when doctors gave her almost no chance. Pre-orders for the book, dropping April 14, 2026, were climbing every single day. The bonuses had become a movement of their own. Her personally curated healing playlist, one song vibe for every chapter, the exact tracks that carried her through the darkest hospital nights. The guided workbook so readers could start applying the tools the moment the book arrived. An exclusive invite to the virtual launch party in April, where Amy would share the raw stories behind the 22-day writing sprint, the inspiration for every tool, big thank yous, motivation, and a live Q&A with the entire community. She described the writing as very therapeutic and really vulnerable, revisiting old doubts, grieving the versions of herself she had to let go of, and turning every hard lesson into something practical and powerful, moving from giving up to finding your way, practicing courage before confidence ever shows up, learning to ride grief waves without letting them pull you under, and becoming your own fiercest advocate. Through every post and every interview, Amy stayed beautifully honest. She recirculated the photo shoot celebrating her body exactly as it is now. Courage comes before confidence. What have you found the courage to do recently? She leaned on her coach's mantra that still echoes daily: "You're allowed to give up, just not today." And she kept showing up exactly as she is. Daily left leg strengthening sessions, prosthetic experiments, story sharing that builds real connection. As late March slipped into the first warm days of spring, Amy Purdy wasn't chasing podiums anymore. She was standing on a different kind of stage, one built from wisdom, vulnerability, and the quiet decision to keep rising. The Paralympic flame in Italy had gone out, but her light was burning brighter than ever, proof that true conquest isn't measured in medals. It's measured in the lives touched, the tools given, the hope passed forward, and the daily choice to bounce again and again. The world was watching, pre-ordering, commenting, and getting ready for the next chapter. And Amy? She was already living it, one honest, courageous, forward-moving step at a time.
April 14th, 2026 arrived like the sunrise after the longest night. Bounce Forward, 21 tools to live a life beyond limits hit the world. Readers opened the pages and found not just a memoir, but a lifeline. 21 hard-earned, science-backed tools written in Amy's own hand, born from hospital beds, operating tables, mountain slopes, ballroom lights, and quiet mornings of leg-strengthening pain. The virtual launch party became a global gathering. Thousands tuned in live. Amy sat in front of the camera, not hiding scars, not glossing over struggles, and spoke straight from the heart. I didn't write this book to tell you how to bounce back. I wrote it to show you how to bounce forward into a life bigger, braver, and more beautiful than the one you lost. She read her favorite line aloud. Your body is magnificent. It can form new pathways, heal in ways doctors call miracles, adapt beyond imagination. But the real power? It's in your mind and spirit.
the choice to rewrite the story, the decision to keep asking better questions, the courage to say every single day, "Not today." The chat exploded with messages from people around the world, survivors, caregivers, dreamers, who felt seen for the first time. Amy answered questions for hours, tears in her eyes, gratitude in her voice. She thanked her dad for the kidney that gave her a second life. She thanked Daniel for walking beside her through every storm. She thanked the adaptive athletes who carried the torch she helped light. And she thanked every person who ever told her, "You can't," because their doubt became her fuel. Today, in 2026 and beyond, Amy Purdy stands as living proof that limits are illusions we outgrow. She no longer races down mountains, but she still conquers them every time she shares a prosthetic hack that changes someone's morning. Every time she reminds a stranger that courage comes before confidence. Every time she chooses to rise when the world expects her to stay down. Her legs may have been taken, but her spirit was never touched. She lost her legs, but she conquered the world. Not with medals alone, though she has 3. Not with television lights, though she shined on the biggest stages. Not with books, though Bounce Forward is changing lives right now. She conquered it the way only the truly brave do. One honest step, one vulnerable share, one rewritten chapter, one daily decision to keep going. And in doing so, she gave the rest of us the greatest gift, permission to fall hard and rise even higher. So if you're reading this, if you're watching this, if life has knocked you down and the doctors have given you bad odds, hear Amy's voice in your head. What would the author of your story write next? Pick up the pen. Rewrite the ending. Bounce forward. Because the bravest women don't avoid the storm. They learn to dance in the rain on their own 2 feet. Amy Purdy, survivor, champion, trailblazer. Proof that when life takes your legs, you grow wings. The end.